All right. Talking terminology, we're going to talk about the osteoarthritis.
Yes, we are.
And also the bone spavin.
Spavin.
And also discussion from an article from Horse Magazine about the arthritis. And I've had coffee this morning. And I stayed up to watch the game, so I was up a little bit late. Arthritis Research in 2023. And Mike will discuss Eileen, a horse with a dropped shoulder. How's that sound? Sound good?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
And now for something special. The unit is self-contained with its own saddler, farrier, wheelwright and so on. It's a rigorous training dished out who know all there is to know about horses, and it brings results.
We take you behind the scenes now to show just some of the interesting aspects of this training.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine, the #1 podcast to create sounder horses from the ground up. Mike Stine is a registered journeyman farrier with an APF 1 accreditation. On this week's show, back to talking terminology. We're going to talk about osteoarthritis and the bone spavin. And we're also going to discuss an article in Horse Magazine about the arthritic research in 2023. And Mike discusses a horse named Eileen with a dropped shoulder. All this and much more will be discussed here on Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. And over to my far right side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Let's get all that morning breath.
Yes.
All the morning stuff out of our lungs. And let's get on with this show. Mike, I'm going to say, by the looks of your hair, it looks like you went and saw the game. You stayed up late and watched the game last night.
I did not.
You did not?
I did not.
Well,
it just looks like it. Well, it looks.
Well, and don't forget, for every podcast we do, we have a matching video over on the YouTube channel.
You know, I spend good money to get my hair looking like this every day. I'll have you know.
You'd be surprised. Some people do pay a lot of money to get their hair to look like that. You, Mike, it comes natural.
That's right.
Make sure you like us over on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe over there as well. And it's funny, I was reading some of the comments, and someone was saying on the comments that the x-rays that we were showing last week or the week before,
right,
and you were talking about the parts and pieces of a horse, and I'm in charge, if you're watching the video, I'm in charge of moving the mouse and the cursor around.
Right.
So when Mike goes, go to the laminitis, the flux capacitor, flectoid muscle, I know where that is now because I've been sitting here and the person was like, look at Travis. I'm so proud of him. He listens to Mike and he's learning where these parts are. And I'm like going, I guess, you know, for the most part, I am learning where these parts are. But I always say it's always by osmosis.
Yes, I understand.
But you're teaching me, Mike, and also teaching people out.
Yeah, a lot of times when I was at school, I'd put my head on the book on the desk and that didn't work.
No.
That was osmosis, wasn't it?
No, that was just you taking a nap. Now, my wife's birthday's coming up here. We also have Valentine's coming up here as well. Valentine's Day, I don't know. However they say it. And I say to my wife, you know, every year I go, what do you want for Valentine's Day? What do you want for your birthday? Because they're only a week apart from each other. And because of recently, 2 years ago, let me backtrack a little bit. 2 years ago, she bought Dominique. No, sorry, not Dominique. Sorry, Diego.
Diego, yes.
Stupid horse names. She bought Diego. And I said, yes, okay. She's like, you don't have to buy me anything for Christmas. You don't have to buy me anything. Valentine's birthday.
How's that work for you?
Well, I'm getting away a little bit. I still think she was working out on the better end as far as cost-wise. So then the year after that, she said, I need a new saddle. And we talked about the new saddle that she bought, the saddle that she has for Diego, because his butt's coming up. He's not as uphill anymore.
He's changing.
And so the saddle that she has done its job, you know, $6,000 saddle. Mm-hmm. So she's bought another $7,000.
And you can use that one to start a bonfire, right?
You use that saddle to stand on to get up on the horse to get on the other saddle.
Have you seen him lately?
I have not. No,
he's
looking good.
Turned into something. Yes.
All right, I'll get into that here in just one sec. So she's like, and I'm like, well, what do you want for Christmas this year? What do you want for your birthday? She's like, nothing. You let me have the saddle, this, you know, $8,000, $6,000, however much the saddle was. I forget because she
only tell you half the price.
I know. She did a swap out with the saddle that she has. She got credit on it. And so now this year, we come back around again, and her birthday's in a week and a half, and Valentine's Day is coming up here at the end of the week. And I say to her, and I go, babe, what do you want for Valentine's Day? And or birthday. She's like, you don't have to get me anything. She's like, you let me spend all this money on the horse and saddle and everything. But you know what she has been looking at is that on the horse, I'm not sure what the technical name is, that bridle that goes across the brow.
The brow band, yeah.
Okay, so it's called a brow band. I thought she was just making
diamond studded.
right. Well, not exactly. The one that she has like the fake cubic zirconias in it, to make the horse look fancy.
Right.
Right. And she's looking online, and we're driving around, and I go, well, what are you looking at over there? Oh, Diego needs a new brow band. I'm like, okay. She's like, I want to.
He's a very large Barbie doll.
Well, yes. And the things that she says makes me laugh because she goes, well, I want it to match the saddle. And I go, okay, so what color are your saddles? Well, you've seen my saddle. I go, babe, I saw a picture of your saddle. I've never actually physically seen your saddle. Remember the one that I said it looks like it's got a parking brake behind the seat? That big red stripe on the back? She wants the brow band to match the saddle. And I said, well, what's wrong with the brow band that he has? Is it broken? Is it not fitting right? She's like, no, I just want him to look sassy. I want him to look like a Barbie doll. I want him to look this way. I said, so you're telling me that this whole entire time, you could go out there with just a leather strap on his brow and be just fine. The brow band basically doesn't, quote unquote, do anything. You don't have to have all the sparkles and the bedazzle. And
you don't understand.
Tell me what I don't understand. Why do you have to have all this sparkle and bling and flare?
Well, look at that truck parked out there.
Yeah, I know. And
it's got all the bling on it, right?
It does.
Well, same thing.
Well, Mike, now that you put it that way, take the truck back. Send the truck back. I don't need it.
Yeah.
I don't need all that fancy stuff. And I said, babe, but you haven't done a show yet this year yet. Well, I'm going to. We're going to, and she's telling me the list of all the different shows she's going to, and I have to have this on now so he can get used to it. I'm like, okay, babe. If that's all I have to buy you for, I almost said Christmas and Thanksgiving, for Valentine's Day and your birthday, go ahead and get it. She's like, well, I'll pick out 5 of them and you go ahead and buy it. I said, no. That's not how it works.
Buy 5 of them and then
figure out which one you want and send the other 4 back. And they range anywhere, the price just for that band, that piece of leather, from $50 where it's made in China up to a $250 one where it's handmade and it's got to where the jewels go from dark red and they fade as they get to the center of the brow.
Nice.
So I said, babe, whatever you want. I said, you can get the 200. She's like, no, that's too much. Can I get the 200? I'm like, babe.
It's happening.
Yeah. So whatever she wants to get, mama's happy. I'm happy. Everyone's happy. The horse is happy.
Well, if you throw the one up there that is completely studded with large diamonds, that's a deal.
I want the one with the blinking lights on the front of it.
Right, yeah.
You see on the car shows and stuff.
I had a similar kind of thing happening.
What happened?
Well, the other day I was working on a horse. Owner was there. Husband's talking to the horse, and I'm working on the horse. He said,
talking to the horse or talking to you while you're on the horse?
I was working on the horse, and as far as I was concerned, he was talking to me. And he looked at his horse, and he says, he sure does have a pretty face. So I thanked him for it. He was speechless for a bit.
Sure.
Anyway.
So did you clear it up?
Oh, no.
No, he just took it
talking about me.
Was the wife there?
Yeah, they were laughing.
Well, he's got a pretty face. Mike goes, thank you. It's the only one I got.
That's right.
Where's the drum roll? Boom, boom. And you were talking about Diego and have I seen Diego lately? And I have not. But what I do see on a daily basis is I see Cayenne and Dominique on the pastures out here,
right,
on our property. And Diego's off at a training facility, as he should be. He's a professional horse now for some reason.
He doesn't want to be.
I know. He wants to eat and get fat. Well, speaking of eating and getting fat, as we were walking down, because we walk down to the barn to feed every morning, my wife and I, and we have our cup of coffee, and the horses kind of follow us because it's a food train. She's like, look at Dominique. I said, what about it? She's like, she has lost all muscle tone. She looks like an old lady out there in the pastures.
Well, she hadn't exactly been working hard.
She hasn't been working her at all. And from her going, I'm going to work Dominique twice a week, just on a lead rope or anything, went from twice a week to once a week to once a month to maybe I'll take her out and brush her, that type stuff. Now, granted,
Dominic's okay with that.
She's okay with that, and we are going to turn her into a brood mare, and the process of that is another story for another time. But so she's just out there being a lawn ornament. We have this $200 and some odd $1,000 horse out there just sitting there doing nothing. And I say $200,000 in my mind. That's how much the feed costs. That's how much the vet bills cost. That's how much all the, I've already got a tabulation.
Have you figured out how many things you've left out of that?
Oh, yeah. Stuff that I don't know about.
Right.
So I'm just thinking about, we've had this horse for 10 years. So you figure $20,000 a year times 10 just on the feed and the horse and all that stuff. That's where I came up with the number. All right, guys, we got a lot to talk about, lots to get into. And make sure if you have any questions for Mike Stine, go over to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page says contact us. Fill out that little form. We got a bunch of stuff we can give you if you put a return address. If you have a question for Mike Stine,
if you think I got a pretty face, you can make comments on that too.
You can do that as well over on his Facebook page as well. All right, guys, we got a lot to talk about. Stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. You all right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
It is that time. Sorry.
That's all right. I'd rather you do it now than on the air.
It's warm enough. I kind of back and forth between the shop and outside doing some things. Got drizzle on a little bit, but I just didn't want to stay in the house.
Nah, I don't blame you. Sometimes you just need outside days.
Right.
Go outside and touch some grass is what the kids say. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget, you can follow him over on Facebook. Make sure you subscribe to him over there on Facebook, Equine Dynamics Mike Stine. That's Stine, Stine, because when I do the videos for the show and it does the automatic closed caption fill in, it always does the German Stine. The Stein or however you spell the other way. Yeah. So just to make sure you fill out.
Well, we changed it. People in my family couldn't spell right, so that's where it ended up.
Simple folks, right?
That's right.
Now on your Facebook page, I saw a picture that you posted. Because you always post on articles and drawings and stuff. There was a horse's leg. It looked like it was dissected.
Right.
And it was like a bone, and then all these like ligaments or something coming out like a fan.
It separated the tendons out.
Is that what that was?
Yes.
Because I'm looking at that, and I'm like, going, well, what is all that stuff? Can you go into that just a little bit before we get
they
started?
separated out your flexors and your extensor tendon and everything going up the leg, and probably had your suspensory also separated out in that.
And that was a real leg, right?
I suspect it was, yes.
So that was interesting. If you want to see that picture, go over to Facebook, Equine Dynamics, Mike Stine. Now, we're going to talk terminology. There's so many... What?
Yes, we are.
Yes, there's so many things that you hear in the barn and through your veterinarian and through your trainer and stuff, and sometimes terminology gets kind of lost in translation. And so we do this segment here so you can get up to date as far as when you hear something in the barn, you're not going around and being the person going, what do they mean by that? What do they mean by that? You just listen to the Equine Dynamics show, and we'll tell you exactly what's going on with the words and phrases that they say. So this week, we're going to talk about osteoarthritis, or what they call OA. And so tell us, Mike, what is osteoarthritis? Now, is this something a human can get, or is this strictly a horse or an equine thing?
Have you talked really, really close to your doctor, your orthopedic doctor?
I don't have an orthopedic doctor. I just have a general practitioner.
Okay.
And I'm fine. All my bones and they crick
and crack. They creak
just like they're supposed to.
Yeah, just like they're supposed to. Yeah, osteoarthritis is calcifications like ring bone, which is a calcification like around the coffin joint or the pastern joint. It forms around it, and that's why they call it ring bone, but it is calcification building in. And if you've got damaged cartilage, you can get some calcifications inside the articulated surface of the joint, which will cause problems. And they were talking about spavins, like a bone, like a, what is it, down there, a bone spavin?
Yeah, we're also going to talk about the bone spavin. So
right.
I guess one goes in hand with the other one. So
and the bone spavin is the lower joints in the hock start to get some calcifications in there. And that can be managed. The trick is make sure you're taking care of things early enough, like everything else. If it gets really advanced, you can lose usefulness of a horse. The thing with the lower joints in the hock, if it fuses up, some of those horses can actually do really well once that calcifies in. but the in between, they can be pretty painful.
So the definition I have written down here is osteoarthritis, which is the whole joint disease characterized by the inflammation, cartilage breakdown, and bone lesions. Can also cause changes in the bones beneath the cartilage, and the bone spavin or spavin, depending on what side of the Mason-Dixon line you're on, is arthritis of the, or osteoarthritis of the lower 3 Hox joints, which can be career ending as well. Now, so my question is, how do you...
Well, we're down south, so, go ahead.
I'm from Florida, so...
You're from up north.
Yeah, Florida, North Florida, South Florida, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So my question is, how does a horse get this, and how is it prevented?
Wear and tear, usefulness, the mechanics of the shoe job. We keep going to the horse that's working in a good functional way, and then you got horses that are working inverted. If they're working inverted, they're probably beating up their joints. If they're lifting around and they're using the muscles as a shock absorber, they're not beating up the joints so bad, and they're reaching and flowing out and placing their feet instead of falling into them.
So this has a lot to do with the way the horses are being shoed and where the pressure's landing on the horse's leg.
How they're shoed, how they're ridden, and probably how they're fed. But if they're eating too many sugars, it's not good on our joints.
I was gonna say, because when you talk about calcification, I know as a child growing up, somewhere in my pediatrician life cycle and going into a regular doctor and everything, my mom would take me. The doctor says that you have to be careful on whole milk or any kind of too much calcium, because it'll form calcium deposits on my bones, for lack of a better description of it. And you don't want that, because then bones can be linked to spurs and so on, as far as calcification on the bone. So I guess, is the horse the same way when you talk about sugars in the diet?
Far as I would know, they would be. And, that diet has so much to do with so many different things.
And we have...
like when we've had Dr. Marty and when we've had Eric here, we've all gotten into that. And with laminitic horses, metabolic problems, keeping the sugars in a better place certainly helps with that.
And you say overridden, and in my mind, when you say you're overworking a horse or overriding a horse, I always picture worst case scenario, like scenes from a movie where get up, go, and they're whipping the horse and they're making those horrible scenes that you see in movies. But it's not that way. It could be just, the normal practice and practicing while the horse is injured or something like that.
Well, yeah, and I think that fitness level of a horse for the job, which to have fitness for duty. If the horse is not fit enough for the job, they can get injured easier. If horses are ridden where they are just pounding themselves, you're beating up the joints. And, how we ride, how we train, everything else, it's like keeps them together or we break them.
I know we were watching the big game yesterday, and we saw a lot of those professional athlete players go down with a hurt muscle or pulled tendon or something like that, and they probably just extended and worked themselves a little too hard or a little too much, or I don't know, but I'm just saying, just trying to compare the two. All right, guys, when we come back, we're going to talk about an article in the 2023 Horse Magazine about the arthritis research. And maybe I'll get a thesaurus and I'll figure out how to talk here later. So stick around. You're listening to Equine.
Is that like one of those prehistoric animals?
Yeah, thesaurus.
Yeah.
It's got a speech impediment. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. All right, you ready?
Yes, we are.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget, we have a YouTube channel, Equine Dynamics Mike Stine. Make sure you go over there and subscribe as well. And there are a whole bunch of little bite-sized pieces of the show, no less than 60 seconds long, if you just want to get a feel for the show, or just the best outtakes of the show itself. You can watch those and over there on the channel. Subscribe over there as well. And you can get the full length of every podcast we do as well over there. Make sure you like and subscribe and share it. Share it with your friends over there and comment. We do answer and reply to all the different comments that are out there. So feel free to do that as well. And over to my far inside is our very own comment. Mike Stine, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you, Travis?
Thumbs up for Mike Stine over there.
Yes, and I've got a pretty face, right?
You do have a very pretty face. for a farrier, which is not saying much. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's really not.
I'm kidding, Mike. We all love you here.
Yeah, you're just saying that.
So we're going to discuss this article from Horse Magazine. Now, you've got the magazine with you.
I do have the magazine.
Let me see the cover of the magazine that you have here, so everyone can see, and they can pick this up as well. Now, do you have a subscription to this magazine, or is this something you just pick up at the local convenience store when you're walking in there and grab your
I get the Horse and the American Farriers Journal because of being an IAPF member. Mm-hmm. And they do have some good articles in the Horse, well worth looking at.
In the Horse Magazine, you should say.
In the Horse Magazine.
Right.
I don't think your horse has any articles in it.
I can't understand them either.
No.
So we're going to talk about the arthritis research that they had in 2023. Now, what are they saying about the research that they found in 2023 about this?
Well, they were saying that 60% of lamenesses are caused by arthritic changes. And in their studies, they studied over 100 horses that they were, checking out and looking at and doing everything to check out their joints and seeing what was going on. Early diagnosis is everything. It was just like, with laminitis, everything else. And the whole thing that we go into when I'm doing horse owner clinics about the stop engine light, Now,
arthritis, can it be cured? Forgive me, I'm not a medical journalist by any signs, but when you have arthritis in a horse, is that something that's curable, or is this something that you just have to deal with, like humans have to take certain salts and stuff to help with their arthritis in their hands or their knees or something like that?
Right. Well, they've got a lot of that stuff that they do for horses, and it depends on which research program you look at on what the results are, and they're coming down the line with a lot of other deals, like those new regenerative deals. They've done stem cell. They've done, steroid injections, hyaluronic acids, all that sort of deal.
Now, with steroid injections, just from dealing with my dad, and he's got bad knees.
Right.
He gets the shot in his knee, but then he's got issues later on, like he's got chronic pain outside of what was causing the pain, which was the arthritis in his knees.
Right.
And he kind of goes, I don't want the shot because it just makes everything else hurt on my body. Because the steroid doesn't know your knee from your elbow. It just hangs out where it is.
It goes where it goes, yeah.
So with steroid shots in horses, I would think that, you'd have to be really careful as far as, especially if this is a working horse or an eventing horse.
Yeah, and a lot of this has been changed. Every year is something different. In the last few years, there's been a lot of new products coming on the market, and we're watching to see how those are working. And, there is more promise for them coming through with this okay now than ever as far as the medication that is used, or what can be done from the medical end of it. As far as from my end as a farrier, there's some people say, well, that can't make any difference. But leverage reduction, if you keep the movement pattern as clean as you can so they're not pounding the ground so hard. And, we're always adjusting depending on what the horse is throwing at us, and looking for your early signs. And like I say, back to the engine light, is your engine light on or not? Horses will start losing movement. They will lose muscle. They'll start losing performance. Their quality of movement is sliding downhill. People, they're just not. They're getting older. I mean, look at you, Travis. I mean, you still got it.
I am a healthy individual.
A specimen.
I am a specimen. I could have been out there on the field there running around with Patrick Mahomes and stuff.
That's right.
I could have.
That's right.
I just choose not to.
But all that stuff is coming on. It's giving you warning signs. Just, are we paying attention to what's going on with our horse? And it's like when I talk to horse owners, I talk about the engine light coming on. And now on the dash of your car, there again, if that light popped up,
piece of tape,
exactly. Or it's like on mine, I just pop the hood open and see, yep, the engine's there. So check engine, right?
Right, exactly. So how how early in a horse's career, in its lifespan, can they start developing arthritis? Is it something like after, like us as adults, we know that we start getting in our 50s and 60s, if not earlier than that, if you've got chronic arthritis in your family, that you start looking at it in human form. In a horse form, is it something where you're like, okay, my horse is now getting to be 10 years old, I need to start paying attention to these afflictions or ailments that might start happening now?
Well, the bones themselves are always remodeling depending on what kind of workload the horse is in as far as density. And, there are horses out there. I know horses I've worked on at 6 years old and that have had some changes. And we need to think about, okay, how did they get there? Let's follow back and see where they started as far as, was it leverage? Was it impact? Was it the way the saddle fit? Was it? And the reason I say that is a horse is in the same old thing. If a horse is inverted and it drives their pelvis out behind them and they're not flexing their joints, they're beating up. They're taking like just talking about the hocks. They're taking the impact through the bone column versus a horse's flexing a bit. You got good development of muscles, and the muscle becomes a shock absorber. So that can make a difference on its own, and that goes back to, okay, when I'm working on a horse's feet, how am I thinking because of what his body is looking like?
So what was the biggest thing about the article that you were surprised with, or what was the biggest outcome of that article from Horse Magazine from 2023?
Well, they go into great detail. I suggest people, if they can look it up and read it, that would be good, because they get very heavy into the medical terminology. Some of the supplements that we are giving, they're debating on how much good we're getting out of it.
Is it worth it or not?
Is it worth it or not? Are you getting any real effect out of it? And I've seen studies where they say they do, and I've seen other things that say that they don't. I've seen horses seem to respond going on to a supplement versus, and I've seen others not.
Now, I understand that you're not a veterinarian, or
I'm not a veterinarian,
or a medical examiner or anything like that, but you do work hand in hand, side by side with vets all the time, with techs, and you're asking yourself, well, what does a farrier care about all this stuff as far as like the chemicals and the treatments and stuff? Because your farrier should be working side by side with a vet or some kind of examiner for that your horse is, and know this type of terminology.
Right. We're working hand in hand on these horses, whether it be in your barn, which we've done that here.
Yes, several times.
That over, at your wife's trainers, vet clinic, other clients, all the time. If there's a mechanical issue that we can deal with, I need to figure it out. That's my job, to figure that out and how to deal with it. And, getting a good set of x-rays where you can actually lay out and see what's going on. So, we can help them as much as we can.
But you need to get involved with your vet.
Sure. If you got something like that going on, you need to be working with your vet. And, the vet and farrier need to work directly with each other. I don't like going through this one to this one to this one to get to the vet's message. Just,
right.
Because it gets too confused. And, it's just, we're working for the same goal. We want to keep the horse happy and sound for as long as we can. There again, horses need to be retired because of old age, not unsoundness. And the earlier you know about a problem, the better we can deal with it as far as longevity of the horse.
All right, guys, stick around. When we come back, we're going to talk about a horse named Eileen that Mike was working on this past week. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. I still got that little bit still hanging around.
I'm borrowing some of it from you.
Yeah, sure. Always playing with something. Always got something to play around with here.
Yes, I do.
I need one of those fidget toys or something.
I fidget constantly, if you hadn't noticed. I'd either be doing something, asleep, or fidgeting.
I know. You ready?
Yes, I am. Let's rock and roll.
All right. You got the record going on that?
Recorder's going.
Volume's good on that?
Yes.
Okay. You ready?
I am.
Okay. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. If you'd like to contact Mike Stine, the way you do that is to go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page it says contact us. You can ask him a question. Make sure you put a return address in there, a physical return address, and we'll send you out some magnets, some stickers and stuff for being part of the show. And we'd love to do that for you and to thank you for being a part of the show. And also, if you like Equine Dynamics podcast to perform out at your location, whether you got an event going on or some kind of get together over at your barn, we can do that as well, or your business, your employment or anything like that. If you want the podcast to go out there at your location, we can do that as well. Fill that out. Or if you'd like Mike Stine to perform a clinic out at your location, you can get all the information there as well. And over to my far end side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you?
I'm doing all right. What you got in your hand there? What are you recording? You recording?
I've got a recording device.
You're recording a recording of a device.
I'm recording a recording of a recording.
All right. I just want to make sure you're not going to turn me in anywhere, are you? You're not holding all these words against me, are you?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. So we're going to talk right now. Mike is going to discuss a horse with a dropped shoulder named Eileen. So tell us what happened. How did you come across this horse and how you got involved with this horse?
They brought it in the barn and said, put shoes on this horse.
Okay. That's a good start.
How's that?
That's a good start.
No, a client that I'm working for that isn't another one of those event trainers.
Uh-huh.
You know,
Professionals,
yes. One of the horses that is in for training. And she's been working with the rider. I've done the horse a couple of times. And this winter, the horse has been wearing sheets, and that is a busy place when I'm over there between horses being worked, horses coming in, horses going out. You don't always get to watch every horse move. Don't always get to watch every horse under saddle.
while you're there, you hear other horses and stuff while you're at this location.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't always know which horse is going, but you hear them, you see them, you smell them, you step in the stuff they leave behind for you, the whole bit, right?
$100 bills.
No. But they, going again, looking at the horse, looking at the muscle, looking at where they carry tension. This horse was on the feet, was left to right. It's pretty consistent. None of them are completely. But, I've only shoed the horse this winter a couple of times. Horse came in, warmer day, wasn't, these horses are clipped and all that, so they're wearing blankets a lot. And probably about the second time that I shoed the horse, I took a look at her and I walked out to the trainer who was working with a client in the arena. I said, she drops out her right shoulder. She says, yeah, it's not consistent. And, so Mayor, she was standing in the barn waiting on me, went back in there, and I said, okay, I'm gonna tweak some things a little bit. And just watching how she would step and load that foot, because I kind of asked her to a couple of times, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Even in ties, you could see how the limb would want to rotate out a little bit. And when she rotated out, she would drop the shoulder. And you're wondering why I came up with the she drops the shoulder to start with.
Why?
Because the way the shoulder was muscled and how she was compared to the other side.
Did she, now hold on, I'm going to use the experience that I have learned from you.
Right.
Did she have a dip on that side of her shoulder where the mane laid on that side?
Really not that much.
Okay. But
as far as the height of the shoulder, it was pretty consistent.
But am I in the right?
You're heading in that direction.
Okay.
Yes. But when you looked at the development around the triceps, they were less developed on that side. Mm-hmm. And so what's going on? And just from looking at horses over the years, the way the horse was developed, it goes back to that strong side, weak side, right? So the last couple times in trimming the horse, I did pay attention to that in the trim. I paid attention to how the foot was loading. Where are we building pressure in the coronary band? Do we need to float that area out? And so I did it one time. She came back in. She says, you fixed it until the last couple of weeks of the shoeing. And I'm like, don't really fix anything in a situation like that.
Right.
I just allow a place for the pressure to go. And then the horse will deal with it how the horse deals with it. Because I try not to say that I fixed anything, because I'll take dumb luck anytime I can get it.
Sure.
But just paying attention to how the pressure was building in the coronary band. And this horse is wearing a leather pad.
That you put on?
I put on leather pads. The horse came in leather pads. We chose to keep it in leather pads.
Because I know sometimes you say you don't use the leather pads or anything like that. But on
a
this
lot of times I would rather not use pads. And, just this may sound silly, but just the positioning of the leather pad.
That sounds silly.
It sounds silly. Exact same pads on both sides. Mm-hmm. But what you do with the pad allows a little more give room on one side than the other. You can actually carve away a little bit of the pad if you need to, if you need a little more give room. Take your belt sander to it, knock down a little place if you want a little more give room. Mm-hmm. And if you got a place where you've got a lot of compression built up, sometimes you need to do that to allow the foot somewhere to move on top of what you're putting on the shoe. And these are event horses, so it's wearing studs, set up, not wearing studs, but it's drilled and tapped for studs and all that sort of deal. Because when that event course, they go down, down to somewhere, say they got clay and it poured down rain, they're doing cross country. And just taking care of the pressures, taking care of what you did with the pad. And so this last time, she said she was even all the way through the shoe job. And I've only trimmed her a couple of times. And they're like, did you do something big on her? Actually, what I did on her was very small, but it was, years of handling horses like that and paying attention to very small details. And so she's working, and she's evened out. And if you look at her shoulder now, and being slack, I didn't take pictures of it compared to where it was. I guarantee you the muscle on the shoulder is better. And she is more even than she was. And, so this horse had a little bit, I'm sure when she drops the shoulder, her whole body had a little bit of a rocking action. She carries herself from the looks of her, she carries herself pretty straight as far as her barrel staying in the center. But she was, every now and then she would drop that shoulder.
Now, why would she just do it now and then and not constantly?
Well, part of it was the rider.
Okay, so it's rider error.
Rider to a point. Yes, this rider, the owner is not as stable as the trainer. The trainer said when she rode the horse, she didn't have any problem with, but occasionally with the owner of the horses on there, the horse would drop out the shoulder. So it's a difference in riding skills. And so you can't shoe for a rider.
When we come back, a short little segment, and we'll wrap up the show and let you get back to enjoying your ponies. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back.
13.1.
13.1. And let's see, that was, 13.1, right on the dot.
I hadn't had any problem with these things recording.
Okay. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget, if you have any questions for Mike Stine, go to equinedynamics.com. At the top of the page, it says contact us. Fill out that little form there. Ask us a question. We'll read it on the air or answer you by email. Make sure you put a physical return address. Where do you live? We'll send you out some stickers, some magnets and stuff. Don't worry, we're not going to knock on the door unless you live in town. I'll come over there and knock on the door and drop this stuff off for you. And if you'd like Mike Stine to perform a clinic out at your location or event, you can find that information there as well. And if you like the Equine Dynamics podcast to perform at your local business or event you've got going on, make sure you contact us as well. You can find all that information and we'll schedule you in and we'll show up and do this show right in front of your friends and family. And over to my far hand side, our very own family himself is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you?
Doing all right. So what did we learn today, Mike? We talked about a lot of stuff. And one of the things we talked about in talking terminology was osteoarthritis, which is known as OA, and also bone Spavin, or depending on what medical degree you have. So what are these things here?
Well,
hold on. So osteoarthritis is a whole joint disease characterized by inflammation, cartilage breakdown, and bony lesions. Can also change in the bones beneath the cartilage, and also bone spavin is osteoarthritis of the lower 3 hock joints, which could be career-ending. So tell us how they get it and how to prevent this.
Well, abuse, damage, and I think on some of these things, they're actually looking at some of these metabolic horses a little bit. There's a lot of research out there that has been done the last couple of years. They're really concentrating on this, and they're figuring out a lot of new things. But just beating and banging on your horse is not a good thing.
And the article from Horse Magazine 2023, they were talking about the Arthritis Research, and what did they find out and what did they discover in their research for last year?
Well, they're looking at they've looked at a lot of supplements. They've looked at, the way we've treated it in the past. There's a lot of new products coming out on the market, and they've looked at the mechanics. They've looked at how the foot is reading on pressure plates, because each footprint, when you put it on a pressure plate, is different per horse. And is that changing? So that's some way you can monitor it if you're that techie. In my world, I got to take a quick look at a horse and see if the horse is losing muscle build, muscle dropping his shoulder, or starting to stand in a and I have to do something different on every horse I see. It's always a little different.
All right, guys, make sure you follow us over on YouTube as well. Go to Equine Dynamics Mike Stine. Make sure you subscribe over there. And if you got some comments in the sections, go ahead and do those as well. Myself or Mike Stine will respond to that depending on who gets to them first. Usually it's me. And then if I have any questions, I'll forward them over to Mike Stine as well. All right, guys, on that note, on behalf of Mike Stine over there,
have a good day. Enjoy your ponies, and you're going to be slopping around in the mud in this part of the country.
I know it's raining out there. My name is Travis, saying see you next week.
Yeah. Soap.
Good thing.
Hi, Lucky. Good night, Ned. Hi, Dusty.
Good night, Ned.
There you go. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to spin you off on that last segment there.
Oh, it's okay.